I'm in historic Old Town Alexandria, Virginia. This is one of the most historic colonial towns in the United States. It is very much preserved with its late 18th century history, and I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to walk around and see the outside of as many sites I can see. To save time, I just ate at Subway. Pretty good. But now I'm going to go explore Alexandria. There aren't a whole lot of places in the United States where you can walk on brick sidewalks. This is King Street, one of the main streets through Alexandria. My first stop is Christ Church. It's built in the Georgian style in 1773, and it's one of the best preserved churches in Alexandria. These are all super old graves. Not in the best of shape. These are all late 18th century, early 19th century. See, that's an old obelisk. Public benefactor Charles Bennett. Here is a Revolutionary War veteran, Charles Sims, 2nd Virginia Regiment. Actually, it looks like there's a spelling error in his gravestone. These super old cemeteries on the East Coast are so awesome. This church was frequented by George Washington, who lived in nearby Mount Vernon. He has his name etched into his pew here, and Robert E. Lee was also a frequent worshiper here. Christ Church is a National Historic Landmark. Just gonna do a little creepy window peeking. You can see that's what the inside looks like. And here's the front of Christ Church. Front of the steeple. So as I mentioned, Alexandria is full of historic sites and museums. There's days worth of stuff to see here, and again, I'm only here for less than 2 hours to walk around downtown, so I do not get to go into any of the museums. I'll be back for that someday though. There's 34 Confederate soldiers buried right there. Historic house overload here in Alexandria. Look at all these. This is the site of the first synagogue in the DC area, built in 1859. This is the 1797 Lloyd House. This used to be the site of the Alexandria Library, and in 1939, 5 young African Americans applied for a library card, and they couldn't because it was white-only policy, and there was a sit-in here. It's federal and Georgian architecture overload here in Alexandria. This is amazing. Also, this is rush hour in Alexandria. Still feels like a big city. The Washington and Rochambeau route came through here. This is the Lee Fendall House. It was the home of late Horse Harry Lee, a hero in the Revolutionary War, in front of George Washington, but it has a lot more history to it. Late Horse Harry Lee was the father of General Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee was here frequently, as was Light Horse Harry Lee, but that wasn't their primary residence really at all. This belonged to the Fendalls, which were related to the family through marriage. Arthur Washington's grandson, George Washington Custis Park, got married here because the Lees and the Fendalls and the Washingtons all had connections through family. And labor leader John L. Lewis lived here in the 30s, who was in charge of the United Mine Workers Association. And the house is a museum, but not far at all from the Lee Fendall House is the boyhood home of General Robert E. Lee. We lived here from age 11 till we went to West Point. And it's not a museum, but this is where he grew up. Now I'm in the more residential streets here. A lot of these houses aren't huge, but I cannot fathom how expensive they probably are. This residential area I'm walking through is called Tobacco Quay. I want to live here. Walk now to the riverfront here at Founders Park. Here's a nice quiet spot on the Potomac River. And here's the Potomac River. Going to the left, it goes to the nation's capital. And down this way to the founder of the nation's home, Mount Vernon. It's about a 15-minute drive from here. I have been there, but unfortunately I'm not going to have time this trip. You might be able to see way over there in Maryland, that Ferris wheel. That is part of the National Harbor. Heading out on one of the piers. Don't know if I'm really supposed to, but whatever, they can deal with it. And over there you can see Washington, D.C. as the U.S. Capitol. And that dome is one of my favorite sights. They have water taxis, and I think they do a boat ride to Mount Vernon. They have their own pier there. This is the Torpedo Factory Art Center. It was a World War II munitions factory built right along the waterfront here in the downtown area, but they turned it into a studio. I think like 80 artists working there, so that's really cool. The Torpedo Factory is still open, so I thought I'd have a quick look inside. Here's a torpedo. Here's another torpedo and some history on the building. Apparently there were 5,000 employees during the war. That's a cool staircase, and there's 3 galleries. Here on the 2nd floor, they still have catwalks. This is a really great idea to turn this into a communal art studio. This is the site of Colonel John Fitzgerald's warehouse. He was a friend of George Washington. So for a while, Alexandria was part of the District of Columbia. It was given back. But 4 days after Washington was burned in 1814 by the British, when the British were about to sail their ships down here to the Alexandria part, Alexandria put up a better fight and scared them away. So Alexandria was not destroyed. There's a statue of a shipbuilder. This is really cool. This is one of the few cities in the United States to have a cobblestone street. As you can see, all the houses are super old. And they do allow some cars. This cool building is the Athenaeum, which was a club for the German population of Alexandria. This is the Stabler Leadbeater Apothecary Shop. It was a family-run business from 1792 to 1933, and it's a museum. That's the City Hall. Across the street is one of America's most historic taverns, Gatsby's Tavern and Hotel. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison were all frequent guests here, as well as the Marquis de Lafayette. He was here on his 1824 U.S. Tavern tour. The original second floor ballroom that George Washington had his last 2 birthdays in and frequented all the time has actually been removed, and it's in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. So I have been to the ballroom and they have recreated it in here. It is a restaurant and museum. We'll have eaten there. The museum's closed, but I want to look around. This is the site of the ice well. This is the Gatsby's ice well underneath the streets. Mount Vernon was not George Washington's only home. He had a townhouse right here, built here in Alexandria. Yep, George Washington owned a townhouse right here, and this is not it, unfortunately. I think it got torn down. This is a replica of it. He built it in 1769. But yeah, he lived here frequently. I think it's a vacation rental. That would be awesome. But yeah, not many people know about this house. It's packed away in a residential district. This is Wise's Tavern, and on April 16th, 1789, George Washington was for the first time publicly addressed as President of the United States. And here is the Palladian Georgian home of John Carlyle. He was the merchant who kind of put Alexandria on the map. You can see it's part of the Braddock Road. Wow, I look like crap. It's hot though. But anyways, Edward Braddock was a British general, and in the second year of the 7 Years' War, which by the way George Washington started. Look up Jumonville Plan. But anyways, Edward Braddock was going to bring the British out to Fort Duquesne, which is kind of near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You know, that's all wilderness at this point. But yeah, he was going to attack the French there. Did not go well. He ended up dying. I have been to his grave out in Farmington, Pennsylvania. While making those plans, he was living here in the Carlyle house. It is a museum. Gang can't go. It's closed right now and I don't have time. But very cool. This is the Ramsey House, the home of the first mayor of Alexandria, and it is now the visitor center. This is the center of town, Market Square. Alright, so that was my brief little tour of Old Town Alexandria. Such an awesome town. Maybe the next time I'm here, I can visit the museums. But yeah, this is great. I love cities like this. I want to live here. But anyways, if you like this video, please subscribe, watch my other videos, and thanks for watching.